come out of executive session. Report. And now we're at county administrator's comments.
Oh, just one comment with a couple elements to it. He had a couple different calls. I'm sure maybe some of you have been reached out to by the group interested in or in opposition to it. The state has proposed to put there in the new courthouse. I did have one ask me if I knew whether or not the commissioners want to attend the public hearing that's scheduled coming up at the end of the month. And the last thing I saw is that April 30th at 6 p.m. here in the courthouse. I've heard of it in the Superior Court, but I don't know that for sure. I've got to confirm that. So I'm not asking you to commit to anything, but just so you know, I did get that request. And that is, if you hadn't heard, the state is going to put on a presentation, allow people to speak, as I understand, and also kind of describe what it is that they intend on doing or wanting to do.
Have they set a time for it?
6 p.m. Yeah, Tuesday, April 30th. So
Well, I thought I might just attend just to hear that presentation. I don't want to be the subject.
No, we don't want to take, be seen as taking a position.
Well, I mean, if the crowd turns to us and wants us to put the opposition to it, I mean, geez.
And
I live on the server. I've already been approached about putting on the sign before I open the server. So they're not shy about lobbying. You haven't been out by there?
Yeah.
You should take a ride by the while you're here today.
It's just one.
Sea of new signs for both sides. Just about
A sea of the same blue sign.
Well,
It's all the same sign.
well, they got red ones now.
yeah, they would say they have
Now they got red ones that say no courthouse on the sewer.
But we don't have any say in that.
No,
And I don't think the public knows that because I've already been approached by
Right.
the organizer, one of them, and whatnot, wanting us to take action against the court for having it there. You know, so they don't understand that, but that doesn't stop them from trying.
So I have, when the initial calls came in, I made it very clear that this wasn't a county commission decision. That obviously the state was pushing wherever they were going to be. Had they notified us before about other locations? Yeah, but that
We have no
we don't have a say in it. You don't have, you could take a position if you wanted to, but again, it doesn't mean that that has any more weight than anybody else taking a position, because they could obviously say no.
I've always said we should not involve ourselves in anything we have no responsibility in or authority over. This is a good example. On top of that, we should still encourage, still try to keep a good relationship with the court system, even though they might not be in that building somewhere. I mean,
So the second part of this, that is my question, and we talked during budget time, I think, a few months back, obviously about the agreements or leases that we had here and how long that continued. In fact, that when we were looking through it, that the lease really had expired and that we need to update that. So we went back and forth with Mr. Gray at the time, sending what we had and him sending what he had. But obviously at this point, we don't have a final proposal from us to them or them to us to even pursue. And I mean, it's complicated because you've got all these other conversations going on. But I guess from your standpoint, do you want me to proceed with trying to get them? I mean, obviously their priority seems to have been coming up with a location and trying to work on this stuff. But
the agreement you're talking about is that the space.
the space that we leased for,
So even though it's expired, they're still paying.
they're still paying the old rate. So that's
So
the
you don't-
question, should we just be going back to them, what at the minimum with it going forward? And then also, do we propose something in hindsight based on where we were at before too?
My answer to that is absolutely.
Well, they're gonna be here for another 2-3 years. And for that reason, we should be negotiating a contract based upon them being here for eternity. So, if that means increasing the rate.
Well, our
So-
expenses have gone up.
So what I would like to do then is kind of draft what we had with any new updates and all that, bring it back to all of you. Not to prohibit or inhibit our, our negotiation strategy or tactics, but to at least know that we're kind of looking at send it back and say, regardless of what happens with this project, we need to address this, so.
Yeah, because tech, I haven't read the lease, but it does it have a clause that when the lease expires, this happens? I guess it's no. So basically, we could say our action after today could be get the hell out.
Well, that's not.
I mean, it's not reality, but
No. We statutorily required to provide court space. I think the space they're paying for is additional space to that, correct, Chip?
Yeah, so you have your statutorily required space, which I mean, we have nothing in. I mean, we've got to provide that, and certain things we're obligated to provide, like the facility and some basic accommodations and stuff. And then there's the additional space beyond that, which is still part of the court system, which is obviously why they would be, in theory, the two places. Now that, we haven't really had, again, a conversation with the courts, but that will be interesting to see, based on the statutory provisions, how that plays out when they do it.
So I think we should give Michael a concurrence, go ahead and start negotiating that. They could stall this thing for 3 years, so there's no reason to put Michael in a tizzy here, trying to get the best deal he can, but we should have an agreement in place.
I think that's where we'd like to be, is if they will respond, we'll play ball, but I obviously don't want to start too low, I don't want to start too high.
Should start by.
so, I mean, other counties have the same problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, they provide some of them, but
No, because many of the counties now, they have been judicial sentence. It's
Yeah,
not all
like
other candidates.
and that's the way that they get you.
And so,
But the ones that are like us, that Bill said,
and I don't even know what the status of Washington County is, whether they built on, but I don't know how that works, but nevertheless, we know what our situation is, and Michael should be authorized to cut the best deal he can to get one for in agreement.
so I'll start putting that together and we'll keep you updated. Okay, that's all I have, sorry, thanks.
Your comments?
I have one, if I may. I became aware here a week and a half ago, whatnot, of the employee that went out for an extended sick leave, and whatnot, industry, and was using her, that payroll protection plan, what do you call it?
Short-term disability,
What is it?
short-term disability.
Short-term
Can you turn the
disability.
fan down a little?
I can't get
Shut
it.
up. Oh,
Just kill it.
Power button. They have those at Home Depot, for instructions and
Batteries.
So anyways, I've forgotten already. What do you call it? Short-term disability?
Short-term disability.
Which is an insurance policy, as I understand it, that we offer to the employees, but they pay for themselves.
Correct. It is a benefit that they pay for themselves.
And,
The only thing we do is take it out of their paycheck.
but we decide what policies are going to be available. And I understand there may be, 2 or 3
We have Aflac, Colonial, and
mutual.
Mutual.
Okay,
We have 3 currently, that's what I came in with.
this particular employee was paying for the mutual home.
Correct.
And just in casual conversation, I'm on a committee with her. She began talking about all the problems she had from day one with Mutual Roma. Everything from no response to untimely payments to erratic payments to, forcing her back to work when the doctor didn't want. I'm wondering if HR wouldn't agree to interview her about her problems and determine if they're serious enough for us to warrant withdrawing our offering that to employees. I feel bad that we're giving them insurance policies at our recommendation, if you will, and then having a bad experience. Because I can tell you, Steve Gilbert from
Aflac.
Aflac is outstanding to work with. So I don't know why we would want an employee to go through what this employee's gone through if we have better insurance policies, and why we're even offering this if they're not providing a good service.
And I have to say that, one of the things that I did not understand when it came in, why we had 3 different short-term disability policies and not just one. And I have been considering phasing out everything but one. But I know that there are people who continue to pay for that, and I can't, what I can do is I can stop offering all of them when they're signing up at the beginning with benefits. But the people who currently have the other policies, I think I can't eliminate those because they're,
Well, can they, excuse me, can they on their own decide to change from mutual of Omaha to?
Yeah.
Also, I think it'd be good to find out if anybody else has had issues with mutual.
I don't think anybody's drawn off it. I think that's the problem, because this particular employee is
It's a-
going
it's
to
an
tell
option.
everybody
It's not-
that this is not a good company, and you may start getting, I don't know if it's you or somebody may start getting
it's.
notices that they want to change to a different insurance policy.
She
Well,
already has.
She already has.
Yeah, and I
She asked
would,
us to drop it and to pick her up a different one.
who's that, this employee?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about other employees that haven't used it, because, I mean, can you remember anybody who drew off their insurance anytime in the last couple of years?
Well, I've only been here 1 year. There is one other person, who retired, I think, with disability, who has used them. But I would have to look back, but she's the only one I know who's done short-term disability. And, she really had a hard time reaching the guy. I reached out to him, I had to talk to him, I had to do, so it was kind of, because it really is not, it's a benefit that we offer that we withdraw it for the folks, but we don't recommend any of them.
We shouldn't be, well, it's not a case of recommending. I mean, if they come to us and say, I'd like to have a short-term disability insurance policy, well, here's the 3 that we offer. We shouldn't be offering to them a policy that, or a company that doesn't provide good service, I don't think. So
I agree
are you opposed to interviewing her and?
No, I'm happy to talk with her again.
Do any of you think that's improper? Because I don't want to support, I don't want to be recommending to our employees this insurance company if they're not going to provide good service.
Well, recommending and offering is different.
Yeah,
And we've got to be careful that we're not recommending. That's where it can get dicey. So I hate to,
Well,
I understand your point, but I'm just,
Well, yeah, but do you want to offer an insurance policy that provides bad service, Paul?
no. but
Okay, so why don't we have Mary Ann interview her to see if this is a company that we don't want to do business with? And then we do a service to our employees by offering insurance policies that do good business. Michael, is something improper about my,
I mean, I don't believe so. I mean, I think at the end of the day, as county commissioners, you ultimately dictate what we have and what we do. And as long as we're not violating any labor agreements that say certain things that would require us to provide that, which, I mean, I don't think ours do, but, you know, if we were doing health, obviously that'd be a different conversation, but, I think you have the ability to have oversight over what's provided.
I don't recall ever being asked to approve the insurance companies that we're using. I mean, and that must have happened years ago.
Short-term disability, some of them are from the 90s.
I was gonna say a lot of them.
They were, I mean, some of the original contracts are from the 90s.
But I suspect policy-wise, we should be, right? We should be approving.
again, it's a matter of deciding whether I mean, these are employee paid, they're not supported necessarily by
yeah, that's
the
what,
county, and if, it'd be nice to know if there is more than one instance of.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying you would drop them right now, just as a sole
The
reason,
problem
but
is, if nobody has drawn from this for eons and nobody knows, then how many times do we have to have dissatisfied employees before we take action? And when I talked to her, she's very upset. Well, you said she's already
Yeah.
she's already switch it. And I'm just, my overall contention is that we should not even be offering insurance to our employees that are not providing quality service.
And I think it gives HR an opportunity to get additional feedback, and maybe there are other people, and
Yeah.
obviously she can follow up with the provider then and say, hey, look, I mean, we're hearing from our people this, so can you explain yourself? And if the answers aren't good answers, and even if they are good answers, she still bring that back to you, let you know, so.
And she's gonna get the same response that this poor employee got. You try to call out Midwest or some multi-billion dollar international company and, you know, half the time she can't even understand what they're talking about.
I think that.
Anyway, and
confirms
I
that
tend to agree with Mary Ann is that I don't think there's any need for us to have this large list of companies that we're offering. I think we could get that down to a couple that we could depend upon to provide quality service and then give them those options.
I mean, one of the things though is that the people who are currently using the other options, I don't think we can drop that. I think that we just don't provide them as options for people to sign up in the future, and then what will happen is that that as along the way as people change positions or retire, that those options no longer exist.
And what we do is we allow those people who want to stay with mutual owner to stay with them, but we stop offering mutual owner to new employees. And like I say, if this employee does what she says, there's gonna be a lot of employees wondering whether or not they want to stay with them, so. Okay.
She had a very hard time, and they did make, it was not clear what they were asking for or what she needed to do in order to do, it wasn't simple. They put up a lot of roadblocks.
And that's the general overtone, is that they made it very, very difficult to draw our benefits.
We have another motion.
Okay, I just have a comment. Last night, Michael, the two editions came in at like,
Yeah, I mean, they were later in the afternoon. It took me a while because I was working on something else to get it to you, but you'll see one of those is just, they do it every week now.
no, it's like getting worse, and I don't know how to solve it because, and I think I don't know,
I mean, I'll say that the one that came based on the recommendation of the engineer, I understand that to a degree because Leroy was on vacation last week.
Yeah.
But even in that case, I mean, the situation developed late, and normally Leroy would have got it right to us. So
Of course.
normally that probably wouldn't have been an issue, but because of timing and all that, it took the engineer longer. But the departments that habitually send me stuff late, I mean, it's just as, because I was upstairs working, sending that to you from upstairs in my office after I finished doing a couple other things that I had to get done yesterday. So I mean, I'm not always able to just immediately drop everything, nor will I immediately see every email either, to just turn around and be like, oh, okay, here you go.
well, because what I'm afraid of is, that came in at, a little before 7, what, next time it's gonna be 9, they're gonna keep, you're gonna have to start sleeping here.
He does.
It's just not,
He sleeps here now.
it's just not, it's not right.
And it
And it's
doesn't,
not good practice.
no, and it doesn't give you the opportunity to properly vet information either. It
Not at
really
all.
doesn't. Nor me either, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to sit there and really pay attention to that when my concern is, I gotta get this out the door to all three of you as soon as I can, so you get it.
Yeah,
So
no.
at least you know what it's being discussed, so.
No,
My intent was to kind of, and I've done this before, put the foot down again and say, look, you're taking your chances in your own hand. There comes a time when the commission may just say to you, no, you know what? No. Things are gonna happen, all those things are gonna come on. But if it's something that just, it's a regular practice, when they know the deadlines that are out there in your policy, I've told them several times, we tell them in the weekly email when we send it, like, I need this by, end of day, 4 or 5 o'clock on Wednesday. And they still come back with something that they could have at least got to me by Friday. And we put in that fail-safe Friday noon thing. But even then, that gets a little difficult, and I had one that came in at 1 or 2. It didn't have to be, and I'm like, I really would prefer, now that we've completed all this, and I've got the agenda already and all this. If it can wait, I'd rather wait so that we're not trying to
Yeah,
rush something through to everybody either, so.
I don't know what the answer is, but I just thought I'd bring it up.
I mean, again, I think unfortunately you have to take it on a case-by-case basis, but I can only tell them so many times, and I cannot give it to you. I mean, and then that decides it, but I've always taken the position that that's really your decision or the chair's decision at a minimum, at least sending it to the chair to see.
Well, I'll tell you, it's tough though, when we see it on the agenda, no, it's not on the agenda. Now, when we know in advance of the agenda that there is an issue up there, the department head is asking us, I mean, because I'm saying, you make the decision, I don't want to. You know.
Which, I mean, I'm fine with if that's what you guys
Well,
want.
I don't know what the answer is either, Paul, but, somewhere between not approving us putting off this cruiser purchase for 2 weeks, and then, because you want to hear it today, not giving us 2 weeks to evaluate that, and then you turn around and say, but I'm gonna put this guy off that needs action on his item for 2 weeks. I mean,
No, I recognize the hypocrisy. But, that, like, I'm not, like, I wasn't happy that the sheriff's stuff came in.
I'll tell you, last week was probably as bad as it ever was. I mean, we had 4, 5, 6 items that we had to.
Before the last meeting.
Yeah, the last.
Yeah, the motion to approve the agenda included 5 or 6 additions. Now, sure, that's a pain in the butt, but you look at them and you say, which one of these do I do not want to accommodate? And,
I know,
and it's archaic, to run even an agency where you only meet twice a month and our staff doesn't have the ability to, manage some of these things without our approval, so. You deny a request that comes in on a Friday afternoon, and you're putting that off for, potentially 3 weeks, if you don't know when that next meeting is. I don't know what the answer is. I always left it up to Michael. I'd like to see Michael say, there's nothing emergent about this. There's no reason you can't wait.
yeah, well.
And don't even, between you and Joe on the chair, just agree this not even gonna come before us.
Well, and it's just, it's not that I'm trying to be, hard, it's just, it's not good practice, when you put out an agenda, it should be relatively assumed that,
We're doing a lot better than we used to because
Oh,
Rebecca
no
Norman was so accommodating, and she put out sometimes 3 amended agendas, and,
Yeah,
but
and to
she
me,
didn't
that's
want to
great.
say no, and she wanted it on the agenda so that we could study it. So we are doing better.
And I mean, basically in those cases, like you just mentioned, I don't think that's what you're trying to say. But I mean, I may say no to somebody on Friday afternoon, but I tell them, you give me the information, I'll send it on. And then it's back if you guys want to do it. Now, if you want me to make that decision, I don't have a problem doing that. I just don't want it to be one of these things where the department head goes back and calls one of you up and starts crying about it. And then, I mean, if we're gonna do it, then we should just agree that what the process is and stick with it then.
But I hate to say it, like there's been times where we're gonna do this, we're gonna lay down the law and then, not to point fingers at you, but then you get all mad that like we weren't gonna take it up. And I was like gonna back it up and be like, no, and then it's like, so like either like.
No, I'm conflicted between a good workable policy and accommodating these, these people. Sometimes it's so subjective whether or not it should be dealt with today or whether it can wait for 2 weeks.
All right,
move to adjourn.
I'm gonna move, you go ahead, I'm sorry. Did you move?
yes.
Move to adjourn.
I'm gonna second the motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye,
Aye.
sorry, I didn't, I was typing.
Still looking at that?
Most of these, I think, are gonna be for John.